Happy Monday, fourth grade. Welcome to a new week of our Writers Workshop unit. I want you to take a minute right now and think about when you were maybe 3 or 4 and the first time you learned how to ride a bike. What kind of bike did you use? Probably a tricycle. And if you think about a tricycle, it has 3 wheels, first of all, and it's got lots of support. You're low to the ground as you're learning how to ride. And then maybe flash forward a couple more years. Maybe you were in kindergarten. What did your bike look like then? Might have been a 2-wheel bike, but a lot of you may have still had those training wheels on. And then eventually, once you got the hang of that, you took those training wheels off. And hopefully by now, you know how to ride a bike. And you learned a little bit by little, step by step, to learn how to ride that bike on your own. So that's the way a lot of learning goes, doesn't it? You get a lot of extra help, you get lots of visuals, you get lots of support from your teacher, you do lots of practice whole group, and then little by little, with every independent workshop, you try a little bit more on your own and a little bit more on your own. And eventually you're able to really master something and do it completely on your own after lots of practice and lots of support. And that's going to be a lot of what we're doing in this new writers unit. You are getting lots of support, lots of visual tools, lots of reminders. You've been getting lots of support in small groups and conferencing when we are all together in school. And now as we continue to move forward, you're going to start doing more independent practice and you're going to be able to start doing more and more on your own. So today, writers, I want to remind you of something that you already know. Writers take strategies that they've already learned and apply them to new situations and new writing. And you work with more independence and skill each time. So let's get started. Writers, you are going to have the chance to finish up that first section of your book if you didn't get a chance to do that last week, and start on your second, using all the same skills and steps that you used last week. So remember how Naomi, which was that student example I showed in the very first lesson or two, I believe, of last week, how she had a more focused topic of her Revolutionary War? Well, today you're going to have the chance to move on to your second chapter. So the one I modeled last week, and I think what a lot of you started to take notes on and draft last week, was all about your bigger topics. Remember, this is my possible sections chart from last week. So I'm thinking that today I'm going to move on to the important people, because I'm feeling that this effects of the gold rush, if I'm thinking about it chronologically or like what happens in order, that this would probably fit better after I talk about the important people. So in the same way, even though you're talking about a different topic, you are going to be doing the very same process where we're collecting notes, getting thoughts in order, and getting ready to write. So let's do it. So as you know, we always use anchor charts in our classroom. So those are those big pieces of poster paper that are hanging up. Then those include the steps, strategy, or the plans for different topics. So since I don't have my massive chart here in my apartment, I have projected kind of the one that was created by Lucy Calkins that is often recreated by teachers in the classrooms. So start getting ready to write an informational book. So, and remember, these anchor charts are really supposed to be helpful for us during the entire unit. So let's take a look at it. So as we look at it, I want you to think, what have you learned so far and how might you make a plan for today? So looking at this, we've thought about our topic and the parts of the topic you'll write about. That was from this poster that we created together last week, and you kind of created your own versions of that. We think about how the writing might go and plan a way to take notes and jot ideas. And we've also taken notes fitting what you learn in your plan. So we've already kind of done these 4 concepts last week. And so I want you to look at this and think about how might you use this. And if we were in class, I would say, all right, think about it and then turn and talk and share your idea right now. So go ahead and do that. All right, great. So I heard so many great ideas. One of your options might be to quickly revise or finish your first draft from your all about your bigger topic from last week. Some of you guys may have already finished that. So some of you, I heard, may even start tackling the next section of your informational book. And what that means is you're not going straight into the draft. We want to take, especially since we're talking about historical events and things that have happened, we want to take really good notes and then bring it to life with our own writing later on. So that might mean you do the 2-column notes again, which you'll see that template included in today's Google Classroom. You might also want to take notes in other ways by writing the subtopic with some details below, another subtopic and details below. So chances are you'll be doing the same kind of writing work that you were doing last week. Not the same work, but the same kind of work. So as you head off today, I want you to think about, how will I work today? Or how will I get started on the next section? What kind of research or notes do I need to take today so that I am ready to draft later on this week? Okay, so you'll probably be starting from either number 2 or number 3 from the anchor chart, or some of you might be thinking about the notes that you're going to start taking so that you can start drafting. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time of how to really go through a text and figure it out, because I know Miss Sherman really goes through that in her Reader's Workshop lesson today and the lesson she covered last week. So I just really want to quickly show you the 2 examples of the style of notes you might decide to take. So this is the simple T-chart that we introduced yesterday. So you can tell I included the template for this in the Google Classroom, but I just drew it easily out on a piece of paper. So I know some people are really talking about I can't access to the document, but especially in writers, a lot of the templates I'm creating are very easily redrawn on a piece of paper. So I have my main topic over here and then some following details. And you'll notice I put this star here, I want to look up a journal entry about James Marshall to include in my draft. And then as I was taking notes for the women of the gold rush, I found a fact about that some were wealthy business women. And so I want to look up what were some of those businesses. So as I'm researching, one source may not have all of the information. So if you think of questions that your readers might have or that you have yourself, jot those down so that you can look them up at a later time. And then these are the exact same notes, but they were just taken in a different structure. So remember, it's your choice as a writer of what works best for you. So again, I have my more focused topic for my next chapter, People of the Gold Rush, and I still have James Marshall and Women of the Gold Rush, but instead I've kind of jotted it like subtopics. And again, you can tell these are not full sentences. They're just little snippets of information. Okay, so, and then I also included some little stars and underline things that I want to research and highlight later. Today is really focused on gathering more notes and getting those ready so that you can start drafting on later in the week. And I know the temptation might be I really just want to go ahead and write, but I really want you to take notes so that you can weave your own style and your own personality in the writing. So remember, really trying to bring it to life, and we can do that by adding I think that was really exciting. Or as a woman, I think that would be really nervous, traveling out to the West if my husband and my family had died. So you want to save those ways. Save those ways that you're going to input your own thinking when you do the drafting. So the note taking is really just your own research that you're finding. And one last note about the researching, I want you to really focus on not copying word from word for what you're writing. I don't want you writing down a word if you have no idea what it means. A great way to get around this is a lot of the resources Ms. Sherman and I provided were searched through a kid-friendly search engine. So if you don't know what that is, I've used it in my class before. It's called kidrex.org. I'll put the link down here and at the bottom of the comments in the Google Classroom. So if you search any of these topics through kidrex.org, that'll automatically kind of filter some resources that'll be a lot easier for you to access as a student. It might be easier for you to understand. But you just want to get some general information. Remember, you're not going to be able to include everything. So don't feel like you have to copy every single detail from a resource that you are reading. And if one resource is really kind of tricky and there's a lot of words you don't understand, see if you can find an easier one. It's always better to start like that training wheel analogy in the beginning. We want to start with lots of supports and help, and then the more we get comfortable, we can look for more intense articles, or just at a higher reading level that you can more easily access because you've practiced and read information or have more background information about that topic. Okay, so you guys have done a great job today. I know this lesson was a little bit shorter, but I know Ms. Sherman was covering of really how to synthesize resources, so I didn't want to spend a lot of time on that. So your main work for today is continuing to take notes. So it might be the T-chart, it might be the subtopic way, or you might just be adding to the graphic organizer that Ms. Sherman made for Reader's Workshop. So any of those three choices you can use to continue to take notes. All right, you made it to the end of the video. So, quick dance break before we write. All right, go write, writers.